In today's episode, Caitlin Clark, Sue Bird, and Aja Wilson collide at Duke. Drama explodes online. Andre Drummond brawls with Wendell Carter Jr., Jalen Suggs rushes in. Did Angel Reese overshadow ejections? Elle Duncan leaves ESPN for Netflix. Crowned face. Does Caitlin Clark coverage finally pivot or escalate?
Team USA wants her at Duke University for their December training camp. This camp determines who makes the 2026 World Cup roster and the 2028 Olympics. For Clark, this represents her first senior national team camp as a professional player. Sue Bird runs this operation as managing director. She handpicks the players who will define American women's basketball for the next decade. Bird evaluates every move, every play, every leadership moment during these 3 intense days. The player
Caitlin Clark is reportedly headed to Duke for a December USA basketball camp, and the internet immediately turned a 3-day evaluation into a coronation parade for one star and a funeral march for another before a single roster slot even existed. So let's actually walk into Durham and look around. The camp is set at Duke University. Kara Lawson is involved in the programming, and Sue Bird, newly appointed as managing director of the Women's National Team program, is the authority figure everyone will be reading like tea leaves, because that's how these things work when the attention economy crashes into a selection process that prefers quiet gyms to loud timelines. Clark's rookie season rewrote the ratings conversation, pushed road sellouts, and landed a signature Nike deal plus Time Athlete of the Year in 2024. And yes, that matters because federations crave reach. But you know what else matters even more at USA Basketball? Fit, continuity, and the boring excellence of showing up in a system, taking the right shots, and guarding without complaint when the whistle gets friendly for the home team in Berlin in 2026. And later in Los Angeles in 2028. Here's the part the headline skippers missed. Aja Wilson didn't suddenly lose her 2 Olympic gold medals or her anchor status in a program she helped keep untouchable. According to reports, the video that sparked all this claims Wilson didn't get invited and is watching from home, but this is unconfirmed. And precedent says camp attendance rotates, schedules collide with pro recovery, and missing a December roll call does not equal removal from long-term consideration. That's the history. That's the process. That's the difference between a hot take and a roster. Now, an anecdote. Because the 3-day crucible is a mini-story by itself. You arrive at Duke, you stretch, you run through shell drills with a coach you've watched on television forever, and there's Sue Bird at the baseline, not doing the highlight reel hero thing, just evaluating body language on a missed box out, and who speaks first in a huddle when a coverage breaks. 3 days feels like 30 when every possession is a resume, and every eye in the gym knows the real auditions are actually a series of them, stitched together across camps, exhibitions, and committee rooms, where reputations matter, but film matters more. Double fact for the narrative lovers. The same year Sue Bird steps into program leadership, Time names Caitlin Clark Athlete of the Year. Translation: authority meets momentum, and USA. Basketball won't pretend it doesn't see the spotlight Clark drags wherever she goes, though the program won't be bullied by it either. The selection committee has been ruthless for decades. Medals require reliability, and reliability comes from roles that make sense beside the core, which still includes, until someone actually says otherwise, Aja Wilson and the veteran backbone that won everything. You want names for the youth surge? According to reports, it's said that Paige Buchers, Juju Watkins, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, and Aaliyah Boston are part of a next-wave look at the senior setup, but this is unconfirmed, and development touchpoints are common, especially for college stars. The program wants to acquaint with the speed and physicality of international play. Fans want a line in the sand, old guard out, new guard in moment. USA Basketball prefers a gentle merge, where a rookie learns the dictionary of switches, while a veteran still closes the gold game fourth quarter. What does it really mean if Clark is on the floor at Duke next to Aaliyah Boston? even just in drills. The fever to Team USA Pipeline test drive is right there, a chance to translate their two-woman actions into a tighter spacing template that survives FIBA rules and punishes teams that dare go under. It also means every clip will be graded like a final exam by millions of people who never sat in this class. Which is fine, because star gravity is a tax you pay to be great. And now, the rumor housekeeping, because it matters for credibility. Reports claim Wilson posted mantras interpreted as jealousy and ran campaigns to compete with Clark's sponsorships. This is unconfirmed and context-free without original sourcing, and we are not claiming it. Reports claim coaching names like Natalie Nakazi, Nate Tibbetts, and Stephanie White are involved in camp sessions, which tracks in general with WNBA coaching touchpoints, though the specific staffing list for this camp is not publicly confirmed here. Reports claim this camp determines the 2026 and 2028 rosters, which is overstated. It influences, it does not decide. Short term, the impact is obvious. Clark's every rep gets amplified, a single turnover becomes an ethics debate, and any veteran absence generates think pieces about changing of the guard. If Boston is there, the two-player synergy becomes a laboratory session. If she is not, the lab simply moves to the next date on the evaluation calendar, because that's how rolling pipelines operate. Expect commentary to try to turn selection nuance into personal beef because conflict feeds clicks, but the gym tends to reject that noise the moment the ball is live. Long term, what should you watch? A blended core that lets youth absorb the playbook while the veterans keep the defensive spine intact, a marketing tailwind that will push jersey sales and global interest, and a selection culture that stubbornly refuses to become a popularity contest, even when popularity books the flight. The winners are visibility and optionality. The losers are zero-sum narratives pretending a December attendance sheet is a final roster. There's a trend here far bigger than one invite. Women's basketball is in a youth movement moment, which is thrilling, but the metal machine runs on veteran glue. And if you've followed this program for more than one Olympic cycle, you know they rarely tear up the blueprint when a new star arrives. They add chapters, they don't rip out pages. Or as one longtime USA basketball observer likes to summarize it, selection is a series, not a game. And because you want signal, not rumor, a quick plan. If you want the official invite list and the scrimmage intel the minute it drops, follow and turn on alerts so you hear confirmation before the speculation gets rewritten as history. So where do we land? Clark's presence at Duke, if confirmed, is big because she's big, because the spotlight is real, and because the program is wise to build reps with rising stars. Wilson's legacy and place in the machine do not evaporate, because a December calendar reads differently than a comment section. The gym is loud only when it needs to be, and medals are minted by systems that don't care who trended yesterday. Is this a coronation, or just roll call in a program that never stops scouting? The answer is boring, which is why it's right.
Then we've got the one NBA player that his game is nearly identical to Angel Reese's game. And I'm talking about Andre Drummond, who squared up in an altercation last night with Wendell Carter Jr. and Jalen.
Down big and bleeding points in a so-called tournament designed to make November feel like June, Andre Drummond went looking for a spark, found a shove, ignited a scrum, and then stood at the mic afterward and basically said, "Yes, I lit the match on purpose." You know the scene already because it loops perfectly. Late in the first half, Drummond and Wendell Carter Jr. get tied up. A little push here, a little hold there, arms entangled like a failed dance lesson. And then Jalen Suggs comes sprinting into frame like a safety blitz and jars Drummond with a two-handed shove that turns a skirmish into an episode. Here's what matters beneath the memes. Drummond and Carter Jr. tangle. Suggs escalates with the shove. Benches stir, coaches rush, whistles fly, and suddenly, the most viral sequence of an in-season tournament night, is not a clean back cut or a perfect rotation. It's posture, pushing, and a pile-up. Drummond is not shy afterward. He says he had to stop the bleeding, that he was messing with him, that he got somebody thrown out and hoped it would wake his team up. The Magic? They were already cruising, building a lead that ballooned to roughly 46 and coasting to a win by 30+. Drummond's resume still reads four-time rebounding champion, the glass cleaner archetype. This season's snapshot hovers around 8 points and about 10.7 rebounds a night. And the subplot that pulls in an entirely different audience. Wendell Carter Jr. recently confirmed on a podcast that he's dating Angel Reese, a WNBA forward known for her physicality and rebounding, which means this dust-up instantly jumped timelines, hashtags, and demographics. If you're wondering whether that shove changed anything on the floor, the scoreline answered in capital letters. The Magic kept the foot on the gas, the Sixers kept searching for stops, and the margin did not care about anyone's boxing stance. That's the first truth. The second truth is why it still matters. Because moments like this are currency in modern basketball culture. A scuffle becomes strategy, a confession becomes content, and suddenly a game that was slipping away becomes an argument about intent, identity, and what today's NBA values when it gets humiliated on national television. Drummond's admission was almost refreshing in its honesty. The veteran's gambit in plain English. If the basketball isn't fixing the bleeding, maybe a jolt of chaos will. Maybe the whistle wakes us up. Maybe an ejection swings emotion enough to make a run. The problem is the scoreboard does not reward theater. It rewards stops, shots, and composure. When the other team is laying down efficient possessions, and you are responding with technicals and tough talk, you're not changing the game. You're changing the thumbnail. And yet, of course, this popped. The NBA Cup is built to crank up mid-season temperature. The floor decal is louder. The broadcast graphics pop, and players are told this matters, so they lean in. Mix that with cross-league attention, because Carter Jr.'s dating life intersects with WNBA fandom, and you get a collision of storylines, hard screens, harder shoves, and a ready-made narrative bridge to Angel Reese, whose brand is rebounding, contact, and unapologetic edge. Drummond's game, long defined by boards and brawn, gets labeled nearly identical by internet commentators, and fair or not, that comparison fuels a narrative that writes itself. Mini-story time. Watch the replay the way a coach would. Drummond and Carter Jr. lock up on a routine play, neither gaining much, tension simmering because the Sixers are getting run. The shove arrives from Suggs, who has been playing possessed defense all year, and the whole building inhales. If you've ever played pickup in a gym where one team is rolling, you know that moment when the losing side switches from execution to emotion. It's loud, it's performative, and it almost never turns the scoreboard around. Here's your double fact for the night. The lead swelled to roughly 46, and yet Drummond still bet on disruption over discipline. He got the reaction he was hunting for, but not the response he needed. That paradox is why coaches roll their eyes at fake momentum. As most coaches will tell you, controlled edge is a skill, and freelancing into chaos is a tax, and the tax shows up at the free throw line and in empty possessions. Short term, the fallout is simple. The league office reviews the tape. Fines likely follow. Maybe a suspension, maybe not, based on the shove, the instigating, and who left the bench area. The memes will run for a day, maybe two, because the stance, gloves up, chin out, satisfies the nostalgia crowd that misses the 90s enforcer era and wants to believe that a hard stare can still pivot a game. Orlando enjoys the win, confidence stacking on top of a fun group with Carter Jr. anchoring inside and Suggs flying around the perimeter. Philadelphia has to answer harder questions, not about edge, but about defense, flow, and a bench that can't drown when the tide turns. Long term, this is another notch on Drummond's identity belt. the old school big in a pace and space league. Useful for muscle, prone to impulse, valuable on the glass, vulnerable when the chess speeds up. For the in-season tournament, episodes like this feed the narrative machine. It's not just a mini trophy, it's a stage for emotion. And emotion attracts eyeballs, and eyeballs pay bills, even if it sometimes subtracts from the actual basketball. Trend-wise, we are seeing more of this. Players openly admitting to momentum plays that are less about tactics and more about theater, because theater plays well in clips. The cautionary tale is the same every time. Clips don't win possessions. Possessions win games. And Orlando collected them in bunches while Philly collected storylines. One more thing before we move on. When the league announces any fines or suspensions, we'll break it the moment the memo hits. So follow and turn on alerts if you want the official word, rather than the rumor mill. So what did we learn? That a calculated shove can create a headline, but not a comeback. The comparisons between Andre Drummond and Angel Reese are convenient shorthand, but shorthand is not substance. That Jalen Suggs playing the cavalry is great television, and Orlando playing the scoreboard is even better. And that whenever someone tries to punch life into a blowout, the only real punch that lands is the one that drops the pace, clamps the glass, and turns 3 straight stops into points. Do enforcers still change games, or do they just change timelines? In this one, the timeline spiked. The scoreboard shrugged.
To become the face of Netflix sports. Okay. Wow. Good luck. That's really overvalued. And the woke sports media, look at this. Reportedly joining Netflix as the face of the streamers' sports coverage. Like they're getting Mike Tirico.
Elle Duncan, the 6 p.m. SportsCenter anchor who fronted the WNBA Finals desk, is reportedly leaving ESPN to become the face of Netflix sports, and the reaction was instant and split down the middle, with half the crowd popping confetti and the other half warning, "This is the day sports coverage lost its compass." Why now, you ask? Because Netflix just stacked NFL Christmas Day games starting in 2024 and will host WWE Raw beginning in 2025. And when a streamer grabs live inventory, the next thing it buys is a voice to steer the story. Start with what is solid. Elle Duncan has been one of ESPN's go-to anchors for women's basketball's biggest windows, from the WNBA Finals to the NCAA Women's Final Four, which means she was in the chair when narratives were born, tilted, and defended, and that made her a lightning rod during the Caitlin Clark boom. According to reports, she is exiting to join Netflix in a flagship role described as the face of Netflix sports, a phrasing that is doing as much work for click velocity as it is for clarity. Netflix's confirmed sports footprint includes those NFL Christmas Day games and the weekly WWE Raw starting next year, while the claim that Netflix grabbed MLB Opening Day, the All-Star Game, the Home Run Derby, and the Field of Dreams is unverified here and should be treated as a watch this space, not a fact. What is undeniable is the timing. Women's hoops just had its largest cultural moment in decades. ESPN is the primary rights holder, and the on-air pilot everyone knows is said to be switching airplanes mid-flight. Now fold in the mini story that tells you how serious this rivalry has already become. ESPN has already restricted some of its own talent from popping up on Netflix's NFL broadcasts, a preemptive guardrail that basically says, "We see the threat, and we are not loaning you our voice." That is not gossip, that is competition policy, and it frames Duncan's reported leap as a move with consequences that stretch far beyond one anchor's brand. So here is the real meaning buried beneath the celebratory chants and doom threads. Personalities set agenda, and in studio television, the first 60 seconds can crown a hero, minimize a villain, or flatten a viral moment into a shrug. And that is why Netflix wants a seasoned desk captain who can run a live window, keep chaos coherent, and deliver a tone that feels premium. ESPN, meanwhile, loses a familiar conductor at precisely the moment Caitlin Clark's draw has converted casuals into appointment viewers and re-centered the WNBA conversation around star gravity, rivalry, and ratings. Some fans are already shouting good riddance and predicting an instant sea change. Others insist a single departure does not rewrite institutional tone, and the truth, revealed in every A block, will live somewhere between those poles. Combine the double fact that Netflix holds NFL Christmas Day dates and will carry WWE Raw while reportedly poaching a lead women's hoops host, and you get the trend line that actually matters. The desk is the new battleground, because the desk writes the story the algorithm spreads. One strong open becomes 20 million views by morning. The right lower third becomes a narrative rule. And what fans remember is not the box score, but the frame they were fed in real time. Industry reporters are already calling this a talent arms race, and they are not wrong. Streaming platforms finally realized the playbook cable ran for decades was not just about owning rights, but about owning the people who can make those rights feel inevitable, urgent, and a little dangerous. Netflix wants that feel. ESPN has lived on that feel for years. If you want the moment the press releases drop, the first assignment is named, and the tone of the new desk is obvious within 60 seconds. Follow and turn on alerts so you get the confirmation without the spin. Short term, expect 3 quick moves. ESPN will reshuffle its women's basketball studio host lineup, and even if the faces are familiar, the order of operations changes the music. Netflix will announce where Duncan, if the reports hold, lands first. NFL shoulder shows, WWE weeklies, or a new tentpole that signals, this is our house style now. And the fan debate that powered the last season, does coverage center Caitlin Clark's gravitational pull, or dilute it in the name of balance, will crank up again, just in a new arena with a different referee. Long term, this is how the map redraws itself. Streamers normalize weekly live sports, then weaponize personality to feel like legacy networks overnight. And if they get it right, the next negotiation is not just for games, but for the voices that come with them. Women's hoops, now proven to move numbers when packaged with care and star clarity, will live across more platforms, but its tone will shift depending on who is writing the openings, and that will matter as much for perception as it does for ratings. Let us also flag what is unverified, because that is how you keep credibility, while everyone else chases scatters of rumor. The face of Netflix sports title is how the move is being described, not a job description we have seen in an official release. The MLB package claims are unconfirmed. The viral stat about an Indiana Fever rating dip of 51% during Caitlin Clark's injury is being tossed around with outsourced measurement windows. Treat it as a claim until someone shows the books. We are not asserting any of those as facts. We are telling you what has been said and what still needs ink on a letterhead. Here is the irony that keeps the comment sections busy. Everyone is arguing about who is right for the chair, but the chair itself is the power move, because whoever sits there decides if a rookie's record night leads the show, if a veteran's legacy gets the flowers, or if a controversy becomes a footnote instead of a fire. That is the lever Netflix is paying for. That is the gap ESPN now needs to close. And it all loops back to the same battleground we have watched for a year, in a sport where storylines sell. Who tells the story can change the score just as surely as a made 3 changes the math.